1. So I used to work at a very popular jewelry store. I was a salesperson and admittedly absolute trash at it. It was a very slow day in the summer. Not jewelry buying season at all, and it was just me and the boss. Middle of the day, out of the blue, a woman walks in. This woman looked like your typical trailer park girl who was just walking in to look at shiny stuff. But the boss has always stressed that we should approach and attempt to help anyone who wanders in. Now at this point I see him see her. He gives her one look up and down while he's at his desk behind the counter, and he looks back at his computer. Clearly he sees what I see in her as well. He had a very well-established clientele and didn't often need to take long shots to just wander in. So after a moment of her looking around, I walk up to her. "Hi there, welcome. Looking for anything in particular?" "Well, I'm looking to buy my son something nice." "Oh cool, birthday?" "Yes, but mostly as a thank you. We've been struggling all his life with paying off debt and me not holding down a steady job. But my life is really back on track. I have a good job now and we're living very well, and I just want to thank him for fighting through the tough times with me." At this point I'm very taken aback and a little mad at myself. I was very judgmental of this woman before I even spoke to her, but after our little talk, which I paraphrased because I don't remember every detail of it, I actually was very proud of her. So after 10 minutes of chit-chat, I start selling again. "Well, ma'am, I'd love to help you find something for him. What do you think you'd like?" She seems much more chipper after talking with me for a while. "Well, he's always wanted a real gold chain, but I could never afford it. Now that I can, I'm getting that boy a gold chain." We both laugh, and I lead her over to where we keep the gold chains. I show her a couple, and she chooses one she likes. This was a very nice chain, thick, 14-karat gold, the works. After a bit of playing around on the register with active discounts, I got it to $3,000. Obviously, that is a lot of money, and even people who are doing well for themselves don't often have $3,000 in the bank. They can just drop on a gift. "So you mentioned that you've paid off your debts and your finances are in good standing. So I take it your credit is much better than it was." "Yes, much better." "Well, would you be interested in financing this?" "Absolutely." So she shows me her driver's license and I get some information from her. The typical stuff for a credit check. Even after our little talk, I didn't expect her to get much. Being in a hole with your credit can be a serious nightmare to climb out of, and even people who have turned their finances around in a big way can still have bad credit. To my shock, awe, and glee, she was approved for $8,000 in credit. In my time at that store, I think I may have seen one other person the whole time get instantly approved for that amount. After that, we head to the register and I check her out. She even has the cash to do a down payment so that she won't be charged any interest over her payments. I give her the bag with the chain in a nice case, and we walk toward the front of the store and talk for a moment. As we chat again, I think about her story and how much trouble she's had getting her life back in order. And I'm not even thinking about the money I just made. I was just proud of her. As we part ways, I hit her with words I feel like she's been wanting to hear for a long time. "You're a good mother." "Thank you," she says, clearly choked up. That job made me very bitter and judgmental for a stretch of my life. But I don't think back on the bad times nearly as often as I think back to that woman. Even my boss was caught off guard that I got a huge sale on a slow day from the last person we would have expected. Seriously. Don't let retail make you bitter to people based off of appearances. You don't know their story. And sometimes their story is beautiful. 2. So I work at a rent-to-own furniture store right down the road from a Walmart. So come payday, I usually go straight to Walmart after clicking out. Our uniforms are made up of black pants or jeans and various blue shirts. However, our shirts have the company logo embroidered on the top left near the collar. I've been mistaken for an employee a few times, but most people just laugh it off when I tell them I don't work for Walmart. Yesterday, though, this Karen wasn't having it. Last night I was finishing up some last-minute Christmas and grocery shopping. I hung around in the electronics section for a while, waiting for an employee to come help me, as I've been interested in getting a new phone. But it's the holiday season and they were absolutely swamped. No big deal. I go to push my cart filled with a few presents and groceries, and I honestly just want to get out of there because the customer traffic is getting to be a little too much for me, thanks to my crippling social anxiety. I don't do crowds. I'm trying to gently push past this woman, but her and her cart are right in the middle of the aisle, taking up as much space as she possibly could. and I barely ding the corner of it.
"Excuse you,"
she says, reeling back and regaining her balance, as if I hit her with a brick. "Oh, sorry," I mumble. I try to push past her again.
"I've been waiting here forever."
She'd been waiting there maybe a minute. She certainly hadn't been there when I got there just a few minutes before.
"There's a video game that I need you to get for me."
In case you don't know, Walmart keeps all their video games in locked glass cabinets, and you need an employee to unlock it for you so they can grab the video game and immediately bring you over to checkout. The same for controllers, consoles, and accessories. I point to the logo on my shirt. I actually don't work here. I work at, and I gave my company name. The Karen sighed and tapped her foot.
"I don't care if you're on a break or whatever, just get me the game."
"I can't, you'll have to get an employee."
"You are an employee,"
Karen says, getting louder. "No, I'm a customer shopping just like you. I'll be going now." I try once again to push past her.
"I know the manager of this store, and they won't be happy to hear that their employee is being rather disobedient."
This woman rammed her cart into mine to stop me from walking beside her. Instead, I try to turn around and leave that way. She's not having it.
"I demand to speak to your manager."
I'm on the verge of crying at this point. I just want out of this situation. My manager is at home, and I don't work here. I just want to check out and go home. This is what sets her off, and when the screaming begins,
"I just want this game for my son. It's for Christmas. Why do you want to ruin Christmas for me and my family?"
I'm sobbing now. I can't handle people raising their voice at me. "I don't work here," I cry at her.
"Yes, you do. Get me my game."
One of the employees in the electronics finally gets through the line of people they were checking out and comes over to investigate. He looks at me, sobbing like a child, and then to Karen, and his shoulders sump, like he knows what's going down. "What seems to be the problem here?" he asks me. I try my best to explain that this crazy bitch is screaming at me and somehow thinks I'm an employee, but I'm blubbering and I can't get too many words out, so Karen takes it upon herself to tell the employee what happened.
"Your co-worker here is being extremely rude. She's been cursing at me and slammed her cart into mine several times to get me to move. I asked her to get me a video game, but she told me to fuck off."
"No!" I yell, but that's really all I can manage to choke out. The employee looks down at my shirt and sighs. "Ma'am, this young lady doesn't work here. She's an employee at a completely different company." Karen puts her hands on her hips and rolls her eyes so hard I thought they might roll out on their sockets.
"I just need someone to get me that game for Christ's sake."
The employee leans on my shopping cart. "We're pretty busy over here, I don't know if you're aware, but Christmas isn't just 2 days. I'm sorry that we were unable to get to you in a timely manner, but being impatient isn't an excuse to verbally abuse other customers, just because their shirts happen to be blue."
"You people are insufferable. I'll have you know that I am friends with the manager and he will be hearing about this. I'll be taking my business to GameStop."
She starts to walk away and I think that's the end of it. But no, for her finale she pushes her cart over, sending everything that was in it skidding and sliding across the floor. She stormed off like Karens do, but not before the employee could wish her a happy holiday. I thanked the employee as soon as I could get the tears to stop flowing and checked out as fast as I could. The lesson I learned? Not to go to Walmart under any circumstance during the holidays. Some people have suggested I do my shopping online due to my anxiety. Believe me, I used to. However, my therapist suggested that I start doing my shopping in the store, as it is detrimental to my mental health to feed my phobias by not facing them. Other than work, I don't go out much, but I've been taking baby steps to do in-store shopping, and every once in a while I step out of my comfort zone to go see a movie or something, with a very small group of friends. 3. Oh, how I love Christmas in retail. Before I begin, I'd like to say that in this little meeting we had with this dude, not one of us threw around swear words or names. We were respectful, and therefore he had no right in acting the way he did. So as myself and my co-workers were leaving through our after-hours door tonight, after the store closes, one of our managers notices a little girl climbing up in some old shelving in our back dock, next to where we keep our dumpster bin, followed by an older guy who pretty much dived right into it. Our manager yells out for the little girl to get off as the shelving wasn't stable enough for a person, and we were worried about the lid of the dumpster falling and breaking some bones. That was when we noticed the old guy and then proceeded to yell at him to get out. The bin was on our private property, and that dumpster contained broken wood, glass, and plastic. aka rubbish. I guess he didn't like that. There were about 7 of us outside, 2 managers included, so one of my managers walked towards the guy along with my brother, who backed her up just in case anything was to happen. She explained to him that he couldn't go through our bins and that it was dangerous in general to have his granddaughter climb up to get in, and they both could have gotten hurt.
What do you mean I can't do this? I'm just trying to make a living here. I'm not doing anything wrong.
This guy began to call out slurs and to call all of us scum, demon spawn, etc., as we were telling him to stop his dumpster diving. He was throwing around swear words, which, by the way, the entire time his granddaughter, who was about 7, was standing to the side, watching as her grandfather was getting up into our faces. It was about 10 minutes worth of back and forth between the manager and this guy.
All I'm trying to do is look for bottles. This is my living, you...
Well, I shan't repeat what he said, but it wasn't good.
This isn't your property, it's the council's property, so you can't say anything. You're just feeding your ego.
We had to explain that the bin was in our back dock and therefore on private property and was ours until the minute it was collected by the council trucks. Then we threatened to call security, to which he invited us to do so. Eventually, my manager was trying to stop the whole thing, telling him to look at his granddaughter, who was cowering to the side, saying, "Look at her, she's scared. You need to leave and take her home, she doesn't need to hear this." And he literally scoffs sarcastically and says,
"Great, she's scared of bins now."
Dead set, I have no idea where it came from or how we have somehow terrified this young girl into being scared of bins just by telling her grandfather to stop going through pieces of wood and broken glass as he looked for bottles. The manager and my brother walked away from him, and the next few minutes we stood at the back door hearing him call us names, repeating that he was doing nothing wrong and that he was just trying to get by. At one point he actually walked over to all of us, holding up a bag and saying, "Look, this is 20 cents, mate." We let him be. Although, noticed he was still hanging around with the little girl, so we knew as soon as we left and shut the door, he would be back in there, so we did have to call security. Although about the same time as they arrived, a woman drove up in her car, and I'm assuming it was the guy's wife. He spent about 5 minutes complaining to the security guards, who I guess just told him to leave, and he eventually drove off. And obviously in the Christmas spirit, as he gave us the finger while driving by, while calling us dogs. I shouted out for him to have a Merry Christmas. Well, I'm happy that after a 9-hour day I got 20 minutes worth of amusement. I also hope that his granddaughter has a caring home to go to, instead of having to deal with that man. 4. Last week I finally made up my mind to dress nice. Brown khakis and button-up shirt. Hair was a little unruly, but I managed to get it mostly under wraps. I am also able to drive again after 5 weeks thus far out of surgery, so that's nice, and drove 20 minutes to town to spend a Safeway gift card I got for Christmas. I go in and I had this compulsion for something salty but without being soft. My taste buds wouldn't accept chips, crackers, or anything else that turns to much, then I see it. Beef effing jerky. This stuff is so stupidly overpriced, $15 for a 230-gram bag, but I'm not spending out of pocket money, so it's all good. What else was I really going to use it on? I take 3 packages since said gift card was for $50, and I am in this almost primal sense of hunger, so I'm ignoring the world outside this jerky. I look down and I apparently grabbed a flavored variety. Ew, no, original or not at all. I put them back and start getting antsy. Where is it? Hello? Non-torture of my overly sensitive taste buds, where are you? At this point I'm basically tidying up the whole damn section, which is mismatched all to hell and back. If it's even hung up in the first place, and I just wanted to make it easier for me to find what I wanted. By the time I get it sorted and do find what I wanted and stand back up, I accidentally back up into a very irate woman. I jump a little. Sorry, just a little ridiculous trying to get what a guy's gotta get, eh? Yeah, no, she immediately blasts back.
Are you fucking stoned on the job because it's legal now? Trying to get your attention for 5 minutes now when you ignore me because you have the fucking munchies.
Then she's hollering to anyone who might overhear her that she needs a manager, and rips my beef jerky out of my hands, continuing to berate me. I'm just more in shock at the moment, but I finally settle on an, "Okay, stupid, let's see where you take this" expression on my face. Not the manager, but one of the higher-ups, regardless, comes power-walking down the aisle, and before she can even finish asking what the problem is, She's already being interrupted by a verbal assault. Calls to fire me for being stoned on the job and generally being, you know, a Karen. This supervisor is totally befuddled by what she's hearing and trying to make sense of it. And I finally tell Karen to shut up for 10 seconds. If you're even capable of being an adult for that long, I tell her. Look, long story short, I'm buying food. She thinks I'm a pothead employee here. I try to be dramatic and yank my jerky back, but she's got a death grip on it. And she's being a colossal cunt who won't let me buy the jerky I wanted to buy and had to root around for like an idiot. There were interjections while I told the employee this. Ma'am, give him the food.
Why, so he can take it back and share it with your other pothead employees?
He doesn't work here. Just because he isn't wearing sweatpants and a dirty t-shirt doesn't mean he works for us. Ah, yeah, I totally wasn't wearing that before I decided to clean up before leaving. Yeah.
Don't cover for him, he was putting everything away in that shelf.
You said he was looking at that stuff in your hands.
Yeah, I know, idiot.
Which one is it then? Never mind. I'm going to ask you to leave. You're making a scene and harassing other shoppers. Get out.
You fire him right now.
How Security! Karen, embarrassed, practically runs out of the store. I wish she tried and tripped. She was in heels. I am being petty with this thought, but I genuinely wish she hurt herself. Boop, boop, boop. She was still clenching my jerky while she tried leaving. At that point, when security grabbed her, they had to phone the police and added shoplifting to her harassment and public disturbance charges. I mean, I knew she'd be out in a few hours because we have a sickening revolving door criminal system in Canada for anything that isn't violent or white-collar crime. But it still felt nice when she saw that I saw her in cuffs. No free jerky, no discount, and nobody even apologized I had to go through that with her. I expected as such, but I'm kinda mad now that I can't even look at the stuff without wanting to run to the bathroom again. Being sick and all preventing me from enjoying the fruits of my ordeal. 5. I work in a hair salon that's in a large strip mall. The parking is all free and we don't have any sort of reserved parking. Remember this. I parked in a different area where all the customers would use, and one day someone crunched my car. It was fixed, but after all that, I started to use a different area where Karen would park all by herself. It was a less used lot and I wouldn't get hit by idiots. Then one day a co-worker told me that Karen was getting pissed because I was parking near her, as if I was taking over her spot. I wasn't, and I mainly gave a generous gap in between her car and mine. So I decided to park right next to her one day. I wanted to take her exact parking, but she was there before me. She was in a bad mood all day, but wasn't saying it was because of me. Until one day my boss leaves out of town and I am the early shift. Normally, if you're an early shift, you get better parking. I saw her parking was open and the next 2 spaces were taken. I took it because I'm not parking 4 spots down. When Karen got into work, she was super annoyed. She was marching around and you could hear her in the back throwing stuff around. She was also complaining to people in the back. She then came out to say, I'm a habitual person, that's my parking spot, and I've been parking there for 4 years. I told her I don't see your name on it and no one is entitled to a parking spot. It's funny because I worked at my salon many years before her. I also added you burn some calories parking in a different spot. She was so angry marching around with steam practically blowing out of her ears saying, Don't poke the bear, as if I was making her mad on purpose. This was all over a parking spot she thinks she was entitled to when there are several spots to take. She is the most obnoxious person to work with. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, number 81. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Right, number 81. We're all 19 away from 100. I should probably do something special for 100, but I really can't think of anything to do for it. They're 5-story videos. See, that's why I stopped numbering the stories and videos now, because I've got a bit more flexibility with the newer ones. I'll try and find long stories. I'll see what I can do for that. Maybe that'll work out. Make the video a bit longer. I'll try. We'll see. Unless I'm really busy that week, in which case we'll just have a nice, normal, Karen-y video, because Karens are everywhere these days. They're in the supermarkets, the hair salons. Careful if you're having soup right now, they might be hiding in your bowl of soup. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.